Da 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 da. What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes, get those notifications out, let people know we've gone live. And in the meantime, if you've never met me before, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And I would have to say today, I swung a little bit further on the outside. I went for two walks and just in the spur of the moment deciding, oh, I need to get outside and get fresh air. And the thing is, it's not even fresh air. If you haven't heard, Manitoba, this is where I'm from, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Our province is under emergency alert, and we got fires going on all over the place. And the way the wind is blowing, it's blowing it east. So, a lot of this smoke that's coming into our city right now, it's not actually from our city. It's coming from Saskatchewan and Alberta, who've got their own problems with the big forest fires going on. In fact, one of the biggest fires going on, wildfire going on, is right on the border of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and there happens to be one of our larger cities. I do that with a smile because, right, for the amount of land that we have, right, I there isn't a lot of people here when you compare it to how many people per square mile. I mean, we're actually even what do you call that, agricultural province right up until the 70s. And that was, when we started, just, I don't know, allowing the big conglomerates to come in and to farm the land. But the cities are alive. It truly is. And we have to be in connection with technology, with innovation, with the advances in medicine and science and numbers, right? And Manitoba has actually been recognized to be right up there in advancing in its technologies and its AI technologies, in fact. And we do a lot of marketing here. We are an amazing people in this I'm not selling anything on this province, but it is in that recognition sometimes that we appreciate truly where we come from, where we live, and where we live, what it has to offer, right? Everything, should earn our presence. And in saying that, at the same time as I said that, as citizens of this province, it's necessary for us also to be representative, to be stewards of the place that we call home, that keeps us safe, that keeps us well. I live in a province where I don't worry about doctors and surgeons. I don't go see these professionals very often, but if I needed to, they would be there. I just go to a walking clinic and the services would be there at no cost to me. There's no reason if somebody's not feeling well or if they've hurt themselves that there's any reason why they can't go to a clinic and be attended to. And that's a pretty amazing feeling. That's a feeling of belong, right? It might not seem like it, but it is a feeling like belonging. It's that containment, right? To say, I'm a Manitoban, right? Just like you're a Mexican or you're Croatian or you're Ukrainian, right? I'm I'm Canadian. I am a steward not only of this country, but of this province and of my own even neighborhood. Now, tonight I didn't really have a topic of discussion. I was just trusting if I came in with my cup of coffee and just settled in that it would flow. And it seems it's headline news, and I'm not that person in retrospect of what's going on in the province. But when there are emergency alerts going on, we have to pay attention, because in the end, right, our main priority is to keep us safe, literally, right, literally keep us safe, not just a mentally, I told you, you do this. It's out of that caring and that love for ourselves to know that, right, we're no good to anybody else. We can't help anybody else in what they need to accomplish and what they need to overcome in their lives if we can't even do that for ourselves. Oh, some of the topics that come across my path, sometimes I think, am I going too deep? If I go this deep, would it take the joy of what I do out of my life? And, you know, I think what it would do is give me peace of mind, because I know the topics that I'm delving into are heavy, that they're kind of underneath the surface, but I always knew they were there. I always knew they were under the surface. I could feel it, I could sense it, I could taste it, and I could mirror back that when it decided to materialize in my life for whatever reason, right? So I would much rather know up front, right? And that gives me a little bit of peace to know what I'm dealing with sometimes. So no, I can delve in, but it gives me that little bit of comfort, because for me, a lot of my fears come from the unknown, right? I jump in. I love adventures. But I tell you, sometimes you gotta throw me into the cliff in order for me to do a couple of backflips and land in the water, right? You'd never get me up into the air to parachute, right? That just would not happen, not in this lifetime, right? But I suspect, right, it would just be, just get it done, right? Not to stall in that, what makes us uh, stop ourselves, right? For having an experience. And I bet you too, being pushed out of a plane would be the most horrifying, scary, traumatic experience I ever had. But the only saving grace in that is that when I hit the ground, I would say, that was amazing. Let's do that again. And I suspect that that's the case, because for me, most of the time, right, I love the adventure. I love the new experiences. I love different landscapes, but sometimes, right, I do need a good swift kick in the butt to get it going. And then once it's going, I'm all in. And that happens to be the truth. And this is why, quite often, when I don't have any good cheer going on in the moment, and in fact, there might be some bad news on the horizon, that I always, right? Everything is going to be okay, because everything always is okay. And I've come to appreciate and recognize that. So that also helps me to feel relaxed, to feel comfortable, to feel safe. And the more that I can do that, oh my goodness, the more I can do this, right? The more the more sharing of some of those ideas, because, I say, okay, well, am I going in too deep in this? And again, because some of these experiences that I'm having is only in relationship to the experiences that I've had in my past, and that's my past, so it makes it a little bit, again, comfortable for me to kind of deal with it in the present, right? I just sometimes just have not found that trick. I understand, right? I commit to myself, and when I commit to myself, I get these things done, right? Understanding I'm the only one who's going to kick me in the butt, right? And get me going. But oh my goodness, if you can get me going, incredible. Absolutely just incredible, the things that we can discover about ourselves, discover about the world what we live in, right? Discover about other people and other souls out there who are trying to make a little bit of movement for themselves and finding themselves in the same difficulties as I am, if not for the same reason. There's still the same difficulties, right? And that is in that coming to the surface. That, I'd have to say, it is the bravery and the courage, right? Because if we had that bravery and that courage, it wouldn't be difficult to bring to the surface, right? I think it's some well served lessons just even in my own life. And I try. Again, I have to boot myself every once in a while to get myself started. But today I was a little bit pleased with myself because twice I didn't even think about it. I just said, okay, let's go for a walk. Where are you going? I don't know. Let's just get our gear and just let's get out of here, right? I had a chore to do this morning, so I went for a walk and got those chores, but I dilly dallied in that, taking in the morning. And then this evening, right? Just, I don't know what came over me. I was just like, okay, Cindy, shut her down. We're going for a walk. And I went for a walk and grabbed a cup of coffee, and then I walked home, and it was beautiful outside, right? By that time, the sun was setting, and it was like a red sun because of all the smoke in the sky. You don't really taste it. You don't really smell it in the air here in Winnipeg, I guess, because it's traveled so far that maybe these things have kind of dissipated a little bit and we're just left with the remnants of the smoke. God forbid the smoke from our own fires start rolling in, right? And we're not even expecting to have rain for a few more days. And it's going to be hot, you guys. Oh my goodness, it's going to get to be over 100. A middle of a heat wave. We're still in May. Like, oh my goodness, it feels like July. And that's the truth. That's like 2 months early summer came, right? Next month, I was emailing one of my regulars, right? Who hasn't been so regular lately, but she pops in and she has my email. She messages me, and we have these great catch up conversations, right? A few times a year. And yeah, she messaged me today, and it was just really, really nice to connect and to touch base. But I was telling her, it doesn't seem so bad in the city. I know. And she heard about our fires all the way down, and she's from California, and she heard about our fires, and she was just messaging me to check on me to make sure that I wasn't in the midst of it. No, that would be pretty hard. pull me up like those cows from that Swiss Alp village that the mountain crashed into. That was crazy. I watched it for about a week before it actually happened. And when I went to bed, I checked on it again. Everything seemed kind of settled for the night. When I got up in the morning, it had already happened. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And then when I saw the footage of it, and that was its worst case scenario, right? They were kind of hoping to come back to their homes and stuff, and whatever homes were left over in the midst of being engulfed by, well, is it man made lake? I don't know. It's global warming, right? We have to adjust to these whispers and thunders and angers of the weather, of Mother Nature, because, right, there is going to be a lot of transition for sure. I'm trying to keep a half eye on it. But when I keep a half eye on this, something else kind of squeezes in, and then I end up with a half eye on something that's not going to do me any good, right? Okay, you guys, I think tonight what we'll do, seeing I came in tonight and didn't have a topic, it is Friday. I'll be back on Sunday night um, uh, for Chatters Live. It's a great crew over there, and we have great conversations. And like I said, they chat more than I do. We are good company for each other, and slow down. um, we are good company for each other. We get together once a week. And, these shows, sometimes they're a little bit heavier, but on Sundays, we always keep it light. So if you want to pop in, mm, and make a good cup of coffee. If you want to pop in Sunday night, it would be awesome to have you. Melvin! Melvin's got some good cheer for me. He always got some good cheer for me. Melvin says, my good cheer today is I finally got my acre of grass mowed. Makes me a happy man. Oh my goodness. You know what would make me happy? If I had an acre of yard to mow. I would even mow it with a hand mower, right? Just out of appreciation. Do it in my bare feet. Ground a little bit. Appreciate. You got a whole acre as a front yard, Melvin? Oh my goodness. That's amazing. I have here, let me show you this so you can have an idea of my dream piece of piece of land. This is something pretty common in the province that I live in. Right. I'm sure for a lot of the province it's pretty common. Um, Lots of times, like I said, the up till the 70s, we were pretty much agricultural in this province. We're talking wheat and hay and all kinds of grains, right? And of course, the livestock too. But after a while, we have uh, big conglomerates that actually, as a huge, like we're talking shipping, manufacturing, distribution, right? And actually, farming the land itself and the crops, right? So they gobble up the land. The government gives them a lease on this land that's been given up or abandoned, or they get it cheap. And if they have one farm, they of course they're going to want the six farms around that farm. And if each farm was 360 acres, that's a lot of land that can be accumulated, and it belongs to this company. I guess a lot of it's leased. I don't know how much of it is owned, but right, they feed the world, right? They feed the world. But the reason I'm telling you this is because they just want the land. They don't get access to the building to the old homes, the old farmhouses, the barns. Maybe they get a little bit of access to the barns if they pay extra or something. I don't know. For their farm equipment, I don't know. But for the houses themselves, they don't have access to that. Those houses are just sitting there, rotting away. And you guys know, right? I used to be an urban explorer. I know how fast nature can take over, right? Or somebody in need of a home can take over a home that's not being lived in, especially when it's perfectly good, right? It's just the farmland that they want, not the houses. So, Melvin, this is my dream piece of land. See if I can get a good picture. Can you see it? It's one of those houses. That was probably the house from one of those farms. It's an acre, that whole farm, maybe 2 acres at the most. This is what they're selling. Look at the price on that. $48,000 for that little piece of land. How many acres? I don't think more than a couple. But I thought, it would be nice that if I had that house that I could have a little walking trail in there. Right? That's all I need. And then I wouldn't have to worry about the bears and stuff because it's not forest, right? It's not mountainous. It's just farmland. And if anything was coming at my property, right, I'd probably see it for, well, you can see, right? You can see for miles away. That's the prairies for you. So you can imagine how fast some of these fires take off, right? Because there isn't much to stop it. And with the crops already planted and stuff, I don't know what's going on. It's like the rest of the world. We just wait and see. Yeah, my dream house. And I just thought just one of those little farmhouses, right? I'm not a farmer. I don't want a farm, right? But it would be nice to live out in the countryside. And if I had one of those houses that nobody's using anyway, that they're just selling because all they want is the farmland, well, that would be a perfect life lease for me. And I'm right. I'm not into the farm animals or anything like that. Maybe I would have a dog, right? A couple of cats. But yeah, that would probably be pretty much it. Not even chickens or anything like that, right? As long as they're a safe way, I'm quite content to go to the grocery store for my eggs. I'm just funny that way. But that's so amazing, Melvin. Oh my goodness. Moda's front yard. 1 acre front yard. But that's Canada, right? This is, like I said at the beginning when I came in, how much acreage per person in this province. We are a huge province. When you look at the states, you could probably put 3 or 4 states in the space of a province in Canada. That's why we only have those few provinces because each one takes up so much land. So there is a lot of space, right? A lot of space. And wouldn't that be amazing if everybody had a little bit of plot of land, right? Go back to the way it was and give us a little bit of a shot of trying to gain, right? Maybe getting it right. And you know what? Some of us did get it right in that process. I'm not saying I was one of the ones, but right? And some of us didn't get it so right, but that's good mix. That good mix where we can all be the evidence for each other, right? Help each other out, right? Be the example and how to fill our own gaps up. I have no idea how many conversations that I can step into because I stepped into one at some point and learned a little something. I don't have to be the expert in everything because, right, people like to talk about themselves and I like to listen to, right? just because I don't have anybody right here except in my comments, right? That I'm having this conversation. So I fill up that space. It wouldn't be much of a podcast if I just sat here and just didn't say anything, right? So I fill up that space, and I hope that you're getting something, whether it's that momentary pleasure of just keeping company, like me and Melvin hanging out. And thank you so much, Melvin. You always come in and divvy out that good cheer, and it's just a perfect gift for my podcast. And if you didn't hear it right now, Melvin says my good cheer today is I finally got my acre of grass mowed. Makes me a happy man. I'm really happy that I took the initiative. I didn't think twice. You don't have to really talk me into connecting with Mother Nature. If you say, let's go for a walk, let's go for a walk. And most of the time, I'm going to be the one to say, let's get out for a little bit. But I was really proud of myself today that, it was time for me to wind down. But I recognized that because of that physical energy was not being burnt out. The only way that energy was being burnt out was because it was so hot today. So it was a different kind of exhaustion. I'm going to have good sleepy. That air conditioning and fan are going to be right on me all night long. That's one thing I am super grateful that I have no idea how I managed to swing that in that last couple of weeks in that job that had the roof over my head, that I was able to pick this up so inexpensively. And yeah, because I don't think, right, I managed to get the rent and the bills paid, but I'm not sure in those big extras if I would have been able to manage. I had a fan. I probably have a fan sitting here blowing on me, keeping me comfortable, right? But at 31, 32 degrees, which is like close to 100 Fahrenheit, I don't know how much good it would have done. But I got outside when it was 32 degrees and it was beautiful out. I thought it was beautiful. There was a little bit of a breeze out there. I was wearing my moo. I even got compliments on it today. It's actually a winged moo. It has ties and it's just really pretty. And again, grateful for that job that put the roof over my head, that put such amazing pieces of wardrobe in my closet. This was actually the first day I wore this. My mother was the queen of moo. It's the name of the dress, right? It's a maxi dress. It's kind of just like a big bag. The one size fits all, right? And it's one of those dresses you could go to bed in, wake up, cook dinner, pack the lunches off, grab your purse, and head off to the grocery store. It's like a 24/7 dress. Well, I don't know if you'd want to wear it for 7 days, but it's definitely a 24-hour outfit. I only wore it because it's so light. And on a day like this, I want it to be comfortable. Okay, you guys, let's grab a card. We haven't grabbed a card this week. There just seem to be other topics on the table, but let's pick a card and we'll just go into it for a couple of minutes. First thing that pops into my brain, and then that's what we'll run with. Right? Sometimes I get a little bit nervous at the card that I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna think, oh my goodness, and then something really stupid or something really private will pop into my brain. But it hasn't failed me yet. This is always, I understand, perfect for me. Even before I came live today, I just picked a card for myself, right? Just because, well, I felt I needed a card in the moment. Okay, you guys. First perspective. We got a good word. This word was actually one of the topics that came across my path today. We got the word enthusiasm. And I wrote, enthusiasm is a result of doing what you love. Right? Enthusiasm in doing what you love. Now, remember what I said about sometimes I need a little bit of a boot when you're going to, right? Or a little bit of a push before you kick me out of the airplane, right? No parachute. Well, with a parachute. And then to recognize that it's fun. So it's not always true that that enthusiasm is a result of doing something that you love, because lots of times we don't know if we're going to love it because we've not had that experience yet, right? The enthusiasm is the opportunity to have a new experience. For me, I have always, well, in my mind, quite often, I think on the darker side. I think of the consequences. I think of the heaviness. I think of the sadness. I think of the compassions or the lack of, or the kindnesses or the lack of. But in my actual life, right, I get excited for what's going to come in my day, the dazzle and amaze, the things I've never experienced before, conversations I never had, or somebody I haven't seen in a long time, right? So I do. And if anybody knows me, right, they know how enthusiastic and passionate I can get for things. Even at work, it actually even caused me problems because I was so passionate, and I was such a steward for the store that I worked in, right? Even though it wasn't my store, I treated it like my store. It was my passion. It was my, right? It was my baby. And you come in and, right? It would be dazzle and amaze because my enthusiasm for, right, my job, for the place I worked, and for the people that I worked for was always present. This is a trait I've always had. And for me, that enthusiasm was an opportunity to escape. This is what I'm looking at, right? It was an escape into something new. Isn't that awesome? Even if things are going good at this moment, things can always be better. So, right? Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is a result of doing what you love. And you don't know if you're going to love it until you try it, right? I know I don't like sushi. Right? That octopus feels like eating rubber bands with a different flavor. The flavor is even worse than rubber bands, right? But try things. You never know what you're going to love. And it's that enthusiasm to try, that enthusiasm to escape into something new, right? Not escape, but to escape, right? In the real world, in that connection into whatever you're doing, right? Sometimes we just need a new landscape. Okay, hello, Eugene. I'm doing great tonight. It's not a shirt, Eugene, it's a moo. You might be too young to realize what a moo is. My mother loved the moo. I was telling Melvin and the rest of the crew here that I loved the moo. My mother loved the moo. It was her 24-hour dress. Go to bed in it, wake up in the morning, pack the lunches, send the kids off, grab your purse, go to the grocery store, come home, make lunch, dinner, right? And then change into a different moo for the next 24 hours. Okay. Uh, I have a dress. Oh, yes, Eugene. It is a dress. It's not fancy. It's got wings on it, right? It's just comfortable because it's so hot here in Manitoba. It's just so hot. We got some forest fires going on and it's really smoky. And I just wanted to wear something light, something that just wouldn't stick to me, right? Yeah. I got lots of sundresses. You'll see me wearing lots of the sundresses. The fancy dresses, well, I'll need a fancy event for that, but I'm prepared with those too. Oh my goodness. Yeah, some of those dresses I haven't even worn yet. No, I don't do high heels anymore there, Eugene. You're pretty preoccupied with what I wear. But if I come in, right, especially as summer goes in, yeah, it ain't gonna be dress up. It's going to be comfy. I'm that comfy person anyway. Okay, you guys, broke off for that main branch of the tree. It's time for something cold to drink. Finish up this post that came up just before my live did, and I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna call it a successful day, even though it didn't seem like there was a lot of movement. Sometimes no news is good news. Okay, you guys, have a great night.